My name is Tariq. 12 years. 12 years I worked like a slave in America. 12 years I sent every dollar home. 12 years I dreamed of one moment, giving my mother the keys to our own house. But when I finally returned to Pakistan with enough money to buy that house, my mother looked at me and said something that shattered my heart into pieces. She said, "Beta, I already gave that money to your cousin for his business. We don't need a house anymore." Today, I want to tell you the real story of what happens when dreams meet reality, when love meets betrayal, when sacrifice meets unexpected endings. Let me take you back to where it all began. 1997, Karachi, Pakistan. I was just 15 years old, but I already knew what poverty felt like. We lived in a small rental house in Nazimabad. 3 rooms, 1 bathroom, and 5 family members, me, my parents, my younger brother Ahmed, and my married sister Fatima, who sometimes stayed with us when her husband was traveling. But the real problem wasn't the size of the house. The problem was that every 6 months, we had to move. Every 6 months, the landlord would increase the rent or find some excuse to kick us out. I still remember those nights when Baba would sit on the floor, counting his salary money again and again, trying to figure out how to pay the increased rent. My father, Allah rest his soul, worked as a clerk in a private company. His salary was 8,000 rupees per month. In today's money, that's maybe $30. Can you imagine? $30 to feed a family of 5 and pay rent in Karachi. I remember one particular night. I was studying for my matric exams under a single bulb in our living room. Suddenly, there was loud banging on our door. Bang, bang, bang. It was almost midnight. My father opened the door, and there stood our landlord with 2 other men. "Where's my rent money?" the landlord shouted. "It's been 3 days since the due date." My father, with his head down, said quietly, "Sir, please give me 2 more days. My salary was delayed this month." The landlord laughed, a cruel laugh that I can still hear in my nightmares. "2 more days. You have been saying this for months. I want you out of my house by tomorrow morning, or I'll throw your belongings on the street myself." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my old mattress, listening to my mother crying softly in the next room. She was trying to be quiet, but walls are thin when you live in poverty. I heard her whispering to my father, "What will we tell the children? Where will we go?" My father's voice was broken. "Allah will find a way, Amy. He always does." But that night, something changed inside me. I made a promise to myself, a promise that would shape the next 15 years of my life. I whispered to the darkness, "One day, I will buy a house for my parents. A house where no landlord can ever knock on our door. A house where Amy can sleep peacefully." The next morning, we packed our few belongings and moved to another rental house. This one was even smaller, in a neighborhood where the electricity came for only 4 hours a day. But it was what we could afford. 3 years passed. I completed my matric, then my intermediate. All the time, I was thinking about that promise. How could a boy from a poor family ever buy a house? Houses in Karachi cost millions of rupees. My father's entire year's salary couldn't even buy 1 room. Then, in 2000, everything changed. My cousin Salman came to visit us. He had been working in America for 5 years as a construction worker. He was wearing clean clothes, had a nice watch, and when he took out his wallet to pay for tea, I saw more money than I had ever seen in my life. "Uncle," Salman said to my father, "America is the land of opportunity. Even a laborer earns $1,500 per month there. In Pakistani rupees, that's more than 100,000. My father's eyes went wide. My mother leaned forward from behind the curtain, listening carefully. Salman continued, "Uncle, Tariq is a smart boy. If you can arrange money for his visa and ticket, I guarantee he can earn enough to change your entire family's life." That night, my parents called me into their room. My father looked tired, but there was hope in his eyes that I hadn't seen for years. "Beta," he said, "your mama has offered to help us send you to America. but it will cost us 400,000 rupees. Your uncle will give us a loan, but we'll have to pay it back slowly. For 100,000 rupees. It was more money than our family had ever seen. It was like asking a man who owns a bicycle to buy a car. My mother held my hands. Tariq, we don't want to force you. America is very far. We might not see you for years. But if you want to go, if you think you can help our family, then we will support you. I looked at my parents. My father, with his worn-out clothes and tired face from 20 years of struggling. My mother, who had never owned a single piece of jewelry because every rupee went to food and rent. My younger brother Ahmed, who was studying but would face the same struggle in a few years. Ammi, Baba, I said, I want to go. Not for myself, but for all of us. I want to buy you a house where you can live with respect. I want Ahmed to have a good education. I want you to never worry about money again. My mother started crying. Happy tears, sad tears, worried tears, all mixed together. Getting the visa took 8 months. 8 months of running from office to office, preparing documents, attending interviews. My father borrowed money from his elder brother, my Taya John, who was a small businessman. Every month, we had to pay him 10,000 rupees as interest until we could pay the full amount back. Finally, in January 2001, I got my student visa. I was 19 years old, had never been on a plane, never been outside Pakistan, and barely spoke English. But I had something stronger than fear. I had a dream. The night before my flight, my family gathered around me. My sister Fatima had come with her husband and their baby daughter. My mother cooked my favorite food, biryani and kheer, but nobody was really eating. We were all thinking the same thing. When would we see each other again? My father gave me a small Quran. Keep this with you, beta. Read it when you feel lonely. Remember, you're not just Tariq anymore. You are carrying our hopes, our dreams, our prayers. My mother couldn't speak. She just held me and cried. Her tears fell on my shoulder, and I felt the weight of responsibility that would stay with me for the next 12 years. Ahmed, my younger brother, tried to be brave. Bye, he said. When you become rich in America, don't forget to send me a PlayStation. Everyone laughed, but it was the kind of laugh you make when your heart is breaking. JFK Airport, New York, January 15th, 2001. When I stepped off that plane, I thought I was entering paradise. Clean roads, tall buildings, cars everywhere, people in nice clothes. This was the America I had seen in movies. But reality hit me within hours. Salman picked me up from the airport. But instead of taking me to a nice apartment like I had imagined, he drove me to Queens, to a neighborhood that looked like a poor area of Karachi, just with better roads. This is where you'll live, he said, pointing to a small house. It's owned by an old Pakistani man, Uncle Rashid. He rents rooms to Pakistani and Bengali boys who work in construction and restaurants. We walked inside. The house smelled like curry and old socks. There were shoes everywhere by the door, at least 20 pairs. I heard voices speaking Urdu, Punjabi, and Bengali from different rooms. Uncle Rashid, a man in his 60s with a long beard, greeted us. So, this is the new boy from Karachi? Welcome, Beta. Your room is upstairs. You'll share it with 3 other boys. Rent is $200 per month. Advance payment required. $200. Before I had even earned my first dollar in America, I already owed money. The room was tiny. 4 mattresses on the floor, 1 small window, and 4 metal lockers for our belongings. My roommates were Bilal from Lahore, worked in a restaurant, Shakil from Peshawar, construction worker, and Imran from Dhaka, also construction. That first night, lying on that mattress in Queens, listening to the sounds of the city that never sleeps, I called home. It was morning time in Pakistan. Ammi, I said when my mother answered. Tariq, Beta, how are you? How is America? Are you eating properly? I wanted to tell her the truth. I wanted to tell her that I was scared, that the room was smaller than our bathroom back home, that I missed her cooking, that I didn't know how I would ever earn enough money to buy a house. Instead, I said, Ammi, everything is perfect here. America is beautiful. Don't worry about me. I'll start working soon and send money home. May Allah keep you safe, my son. Your father is right here. He wants to talk to you. My father's voice came on the line. Beta, remember why you went there. Work hard, but don't forget your prayers. And remember, your mother counts days until your return. My first job was at a Pakistani restaurant in Jackson Heights. The owner, a man called Haji Sahib, paid me $500 per month to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I washed dishes, cleaned tables, and sometimes helped in the kitchen. $500 sounds like a lot when you convert it to Pakistani rupees. It was about 30,000 rupees back then. But in New York, after paying $200 for rent, $100 for food, $50 for phone calls home, and other expenses, I was barely left with $100 to save. But I had a system. Every month, I would send $200 to my parents, 12,000 Pakistani rupees. For them, it was like winning a lottery. My father could finally pay rent on time, buy better food, and even save a little. Every month, I would also send $50 to Taya John to pay back the loan for my ticket. And whatever was left, sometimes $50, sometimes $100, I would save for the house fund. The work was hard, but the loneliness was harder. Every night, after working 12 hours, I would come back to that small room where my roommates would be watching Pakistani dramas on a small TV or talking to their families on the phone. I would lie on my mattress and think about home. I thought about my mother's hands as she made roti. I thought about sitting with my father in the evening, sharing tea and talking about life. I thought about playing cricket with Ahmed in the street. I thought about my sister Fatima's daughter, who was growing up without her uncle. My first winter in New York almost broke me. I had never experienced cold like that. The wind would cut through my cheap jacket like a knife. My hands would get so cold while walking to work that I couldn't feel my fingers. But the cold outside was nothing compared to the cold inside my heart. In December 2001, I called home as usual. My mother's voice sounded different. Emmy, how are you? How is everyone? Beta, we are all fine. But your Taya John came yesterday. He is asking for more money. He says the loan interest has increased because of inflation. My heart sank. How much more does he want? 15,000 rupees per month instead of 10,000. Your father is very worried. 15,000 rupees. That meant I had to send an extra $25 every month. It might not sound like much, but when you're living on $100 a month, $25 is like cutting off your arm. Don't worry, Ammi, I said. I'll manage it. Tell Baba not to stress. That night, I didn't eat dinner. I had to save that $5. I went to bed hungry, dreaming of my mother's cooking. But the real test was yet to come. It was March 2003. I had been in America for 2 years. I had found a better job in construction, earning $800 per month. Things were slowly improving. I was sending $250 home every month and saving about $150 for the house fund. I had started dreaming about the house. I would sketch it in my notebook. 2 floors for bedrooms, a small garden where my mother could grow flowers, a gate where no landlord could ever bang and disturb our peace. That night, my phone rang. It was 2 a.m. in New York, which meant it was afternoon in Pakistan. It was my sister Fatima calling, and she was crying. Fatima, what happened? Why are you crying? Bye, she said between sobs. It's Baba. He had a heart attack 3 days ago. The world stopped spinning. What? Why didn't anyone tell me earlier? How is he now? He's in the hospital. The doctors say he needs surgery, but it will cost 150,000 rupees. Bye. We don't have that kind of money. The whole family has collected only 50,000. 150,000 rupees. All my savings, everything I had worked for in 2 years, was about $1,000. Only 60,000 rupees. Fatima, put Ammi on the phone. My mother's voice was so weak, so broken. Beta, don't worry about us. Your Baba is in Allah's hands. You focus on your life there. Ammi, don't say that. I'm sending money right now. I'll arrange something. I hung up and sat on my mattress in that dark room. My roommates were sleeping, but I couldn't even think about sleep. My father, the man who had sacrificed everything to send me to America, was lying in a hospital bed, and I was thousands of miles away, helpless. I had $1,200 in my savings account. It was my house fund, my dream fund, everything I'd worked for. But what is a house compared to your father's life? The next morning, I went to the money transfer shop and sent every single dollar I had. $1,200. In Pakistani rupees, it was enough to pay for the surgery and still have some left over. When I called home that evening, my mother was crying, but this time, they were tears of happiness. Beta, the doctors say the surgery went well. Your Baba is out of danger. May Allah bless you, my son. You saved your father's life. I should have been happy, and part of me was. But another part of me was looking at my empty savings account, realizing that I was back to square one. The house dream felt farther away than ever. But life has a funny way of testing you, and then giving you hope just when you're about to give up. 2 months later, I met someone who would change my life. His name was Tony Martinez. He was a plumbing contractor who needed workers. When he heard I was good with my hands and willing to learn, he offered to train me. Listen, kid, Tony said in his thick New York accent. Plumbing is good money. You learn this trade. You can make $15 to $20 per hour. That's $2,500 to $3,000 per month if you work hard. $3,000 per month. It was more money than I had ever imagined. If I could make that much, I could send $500 home, pay all my expenses, and still save $1,000 every month for the house. The training was hard. Crawling under houses, fixing broken pipes in basements, working with tools I had never seen before. My hands got cut, my back ached, and sometimes I would come home so tired that I couldn't even eat dinner. But every night, when I looked at my growing savings account, I felt hope again. The lonely years. 2004, 2005, 2006. The years passed like pages of a book I was too busy to read. I became a skilled plumber. Tony trusted me with big jobs. I was earning $3,500 per month during busy seasons. I had moved to a better apartment, still shared with 2 other guys, but at least I had my own bedroom. Every month, I would send $500 to my parents. In Pakistani rupees, it was $30,000, more than my father had ever earned in a month. My family's life changed completely. They moved to a better rental house. Ahmed started going to good college. My mother could finally buy vegetables without counting every rupee. And every month, I would save $1,000 in my Pakistan house fund. But success came with a price I hadn't expected. Loneliness. All my Pakistani friends were getting married. Some brought their wives to America. Others went back to Pakistan for arranged marriages and then returned with their brides. I was invited to their weddings, their baby showers, their family gatherings. I was 25 years old, and I had never had a proper relationship. I was too focused on earning money, too worried about my family back home, too afraid that any distraction would slow down my progress toward the house goal. Sometimes, late at night, I would video call my family. I would see my parents getting older on the small screen. My father's hair had turned completely white. My mother's face had new wrinkles. Ahmed had grown from a boy into a young man. My sister Fatima's daughter, who was just learning to walk when I left, was now in school. When are you coming home, Beta? My mother would ask every call. We miss you so much. Soon, Amy, I would always answer. Just let me save a little more money for the house. Once I have enough for a really good house, I'll come back and we'll all live together. By 2008, I had saved $50,000. $50,000. In Pakistani rupees, it was more than $4 million, enough to buy a really good house in a nice area of Karachi. But then I made a decision that would add 4 more years to my stay in America. I was visiting a Pakistani real estate agent in Jackson Heights to ask about property prices in Karachi. He showed me pictures of beautiful houses, marble floors, modern kitchens, proper bathrooms, small gardens. This house costs 6 million rupees, he said, pointing to a beautiful two-story house in Defense. But if you want something really special, something that will last for generations, you need at least 8 to 10 million rupees. 8 to 10 million rupees. That was about $80,000 to $100,000. That night, I called my father. Baba, I have saved enough money to buy a good house. Should I start looking? My father was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised me. Beta, you have already done more than we ever dreamed. If you want to buy a house now, we will be happy with whatever you choose. But if you can wait a little longer, if you can buy something really special, something your children and grandchildren will be proud of, that would be even better. My children and grandchildren. I was 26 years old, and I had never even had a serious girlfriend. But hearing my father talk about future generations made me think differently. Baba, give me 3 more years. Just 3 more years, and I'll come back with enough money to buy the most beautiful house in Karachi. As you wish, Beta. But remember, money is important, but time with family is more important. Don't stay away too long. 2009 to 2012 were the hardest years of my life, but also the most successful. I started my own small plumbing business with another Pakistani guy named Junaid. We called it J&T Plumbing Solutions. We worked 7 days a week, often 16 hours a day. We fixed pipes in rich people's houses in Manhattan, installed bathrooms in new construction projects, and handled emergency calls in the middle of the night. The money was incredible. We were making $6,000 to $7,000 per month each. After expenses, I was saving $2,000 every month. But the cost was my life. I had no friends left. Everyone I knew had either gotten married, moved away, or returned to Pakistan. I spent my weekends working or sleeping. I ate the same takeout food every day. I hadn't been to a movie, a park, or even a proper restaurant in years. My phone calls home became shorter. Not because I loved my family less, but because every conversation reminded me of how much life I was missing. My parents would tell me about family weddings I missed, about relatives who asked about me, about neighbors who wondered why the successful son in America never came home to visit. Beta, your cousin Salman came to visit, my mother would say. He brought his wife and 2 children. His children speak English so well. When will you get married? When will I have grandchildren from you? The marriage question had become painful. How could I explain that I was 30 years old and had never even learned how to talk to women? That I was so focused on making money that I had forgotten how to live life? But I was close. So close to my goal. By 2012, I had saved $85,000. With currency exchange rates, it was almost 8.5 million Pakistani rupees. Enough for the most beautiful house my family had ever dreamed of. In December 2012, I made the biggest decision of my life. I called my family and announced, I'm coming home. For good. I have enough money to buy our dream house. The celebration on the other side of the phone was like music to my ears. My mother started reciting prayers of gratitude. My father's voice broke with emotion. Ahmed, who was now 24 and working as an engineer, said, Bye. I can't wait to see you. It's been 11 years. 11 years. I had left Pakistan as a 19-year-old boy. I was returning as a 30-year-old man with gray hair starting to show at my temples. I spent my last month in America closing my business, selling my few belongings, and converting everything to cash. $85,000. It felt like holding the key to my family's happiness. The night before my flight, I sat in my empty apartment in Queens. I looked around at the place that had been my home for over a decade. It wasn't much, just a bedroom, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. But it was where I had dreamed every night about this moment. I called each member of my family to tell them my flight details. Emmy, my plane lands tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pakistan time. I'm bringing our house with me. My mother laughed and cried at the same time. Beta, you brought our house years ago. You became our house when you started taking care of us from so far away. Now you're just bringing yourself home, and that's all we ever really wanted. Jinnah International Airport, Karachi, January 15th, 2013. Exactly 12 years after I had left Pakistan. I walked through the arrival gate with 2 suitcases and a money belt containing $85,000. My heart was beating so fast I thought it might explode. And then I saw them. My father, now 65 years old, with completely white hair and a beard. My mother, wearing her best shower kameez, holding a garland of flowers. Ahmed, tall and handsome, looking like a younger version of me. My sister Fatima with her husband and 2 children, a daughter who was now 13 and a son who was 8. But it was my mother's face that broke me. She looked at me for a moment, as if she couldn't believe I was real. Then she ran toward me. This 60-year-old woman ran like a young girl and hugged me so tight that I couldn't breathe. Tariq, my son, you came back. You really came back. I cried in my mother's arms right there in the airport. 12 years of loneliness, 12 years of sacrifice, 12 years of dreams. All of it came pouring out in those tears. My father hugged me next. His hands were rougher than I remembered, his face older, but his smile was exactly the same. Welcome home, Beta. You kept your promise. The next 3 weeks were like a dream come true. Every morning, my father and I would visit different areas of Karachi, looking at houses. Defense, Clifton, Gulshan-e-Iqbal. We saw beautiful houses that I could never have imagined owning as a child. My mother would come with us sometimes, and I loved watching her face as she walked through these houses. She would touch the marble countertops, admire the modern bathrooms, imagine where she would place her furniture. This is too beautiful for people like us, she would say. Emmy, I would reply, we're not the same people anymore. We can afford beautiful things now. After seeing dozens of houses, we found a perfect one. A 2-story house in Gulshan-e-Iqbal with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a modern kitchen, and a small garden. The price was 7.5 million rupees, exactly $75,000. I still remember the moment when I handed over the cash to the seller. $75,000 in crisp $100 bills. The man counted the money 3 times, shook hands with my father, and said, "Congratulations, Uncle Sahib. This house is now yours." My father's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in his life, he owned property. For the first time in his life, no landlord could ever knock on his door and tell him to leave. We moved into our new house on February 14th, 2013. Valentine's Day. I joked that it was my love letter to my family. The whole extended family came to see our new house. Relatives who had barely spoken to us when we were poor were now praising my father's wisdom in sending me to America. Neighbors came to congratulate us. Even Taya John, who had loaned us money for my ticket, came with his family. My mother cooked a huge feast. She invited everyone she knew, relatives, neighbors, friends from the mosque. She wanted the whole world to see that her son had kept his promise. That night, after all the guests had left, our nuclear family sat together in our new living room. My parents, Ahmed and me. Fatima and her family had gone back to their own house. Beta, my father said, you have given us more than a house. You have given us honor, respect, dignity. When I walk in the neighborhood now, people call me Tariq's father with pride. You have made our name shine. I looked around our beautiful house. It was everything I had dreamed of and more. But something felt strange. Something felt incomplete. 3 months passed. I was enjoying being home, reconnecting with my family, meeting old friends. But I was also struggling with a new problem. What to do with my life now? I had $10,000 left from my savings. In Pakistan, it was enough to start a small business, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Should I start a plumbing business here? Should I look for a job? Should I get married? The marriage pressure from my family was intense. Every week, some aunt or cousin would come with a marriage proposal. Tariq Beta, you're 31 now. You have a house. You have money. You're settled. It's time to get married and have children. But I felt lost. After 12 years of having one clear goal, save money for a house, I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. One evening in May, I was sitting in our garden, thinking about these things when my mother came and sat next to me. Beta, you look worried these days. What's bothering you? Emmy, I don't know what to do with my life now. In America, I had a clear purpose. Now I feel confused. My mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that shocked me. Beta, I need to tell you something. I should have told you earlier, but I didn't want to burden you when you were working so hard in America. What is it, Amy? The money you sent us every month. We didn't spend all of it on ourselves. I was confused. What do you mean? Your cousin Rashid, your Fufo's son, came to us 3 years ago. He wanted to start an import business, but he needed 15 lakh rupees for initial investment. He promised to double the money in 2 years. My heart started beating faster. Amy, what are you saying? Your father and I decided to help him. We gave him 15 lakh rupees from the money you were sending us. We thought it would be a good investment. We thought when you came back, we would have 30 lakh rupees extra to give you as a surprise. I felt dizzy. Where is that money now, Amy? My mother started crying. Beta, Rashid's business failed. He lost everything. He can't pay us back. The money is gone. 15 lakh rupees. That was about $15,000. Money I had earned by working 12-hour days. Money I had saved by eating cheap food and living in tiny rooms. Money I had sent home thinking it was being used for my parents' daily expenses. Why didn't you tell me this before? I asked. Because you were working so hard, Beta. We thought we could solve it ourselves. We thought Rashid would succeed and pay us back before you came home. We never wanted you to worry. I sat there in silence, trying to process what I had just heard. My own family had gambled with my sacrifice without even telling me. But this wasn't the end of the revelation. The next day, I asked my father to sit with me privately. I needed to understand exactly how much money had been given to whom and for what purposes. My father looked ashamed as he opened his old notebook where he kept financial records. Beta, after you left, many relatives came to us for help. They knew our son was in America, earning dollars. Everyone thought we had become rich. He showed me the notebook. The entries made my blood run cold. Your cousin Rashid, 15 lakh rupees for business. Your Khala's daughter's wedding, 3 lakh rupees. Your mama's son's medical treatment, 2 lakh rupees. Your neighbor Uncle Aslam's daughter's dowry, 1 lakh rupees. Taya John's house renovation loan, 5 lakh rupees. 26 lakh rupees. $26,000. More than a quarter of everything I had sent home over 12 years. Baba, I said, trying to control my voice, this is the money I sent for your expenses, for your food, for your medicine, for your comfort. Why did you give it to other people? My father's voice was broken. Beta, they are family. When family asks for help, how can you say no? And everyone promised to pay back. Everyone said it was just for a short time. Where are these people now? How much have they paid back? My father couldn't meet my eyes. Rashid says his business is still struggling. Your Khala says her husband's salary is not enough to pay back. Your mama says his son is still unemployed. Taya John says he will pay back slowly, 10,000 rupees per month. I felt like the ground beneath my feet was disappearing. All these years, I had been sending money home thinking my parents were living comfortably. Instead, they had been giving away my hard-earned dollars to relatives who had no intention of paying back. Baba, why didn't you ever tell me this? Because, Beta, you were working so hard. We thought if we told you that relatives were taking money, you might stop sending help. And these people really needed assistance. How could we let your cousin's business fail? How could we let your Khala's daughter marry without proper wedding arrangements? That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked around our beautiful house, the house I had bought with $75,000, knowing that if my family hadn't given away $26,000 to relatives, They could have contributed to this house fund. We could have bought an even bigger house, or I could have come home 2 years earlier. But the money wasn't even the main issue. The main issue was trust. For 12 years, I had lived like a monk. No entertainment, no relationships, no vacations, no luxuries. Every dollar I spent on myself felt like stealing from my family's future. I used to count every penny, thinking if I save $5 today, it's 300 rupees more for my parents. And all this time, my parents were giving away thousands of dollars to relatives who probably spent it on luxuries I had never allowed myself to enjoy. I thought about all the times I had been hungry in New York because I didn't want to spend money on food. All the times I had worn the same clothes for months because buying new clothes meant less money to send home. All the times I had refused friends' invitations to movies or dinners because every dollar counts for my family. The next morning, I confronted my mother again. Amy, do you realize what I gave up for this money? Do you know I never had a girlfriend, never got married, never had children, never enjoyed my youth? All because I was focused on sending money home for a family? And you gave that money to people who weren't even willing to sacrifice anything for their own problems. My mother started crying. Beta, we thought we were doing good. When you're poor, you can't help anyone. But when Allah gives you blessings through your son, how can you not share with people who are in the same situation you used to be in? But Amy, those people aren't paying back. They took advantage of your kindness. Some of them will pay back, Beta. Your Taya John is paying 10,000 every month. 10,000 rupees per month for a 5 lakh loan? At this rate, it will take him 50 months, more than 4 years, to pay back money that I earned by working day and night. I called Ahmed and Fatima for a family meeting. I needed to understand if they knew about this money distribution and what they thought about it. Ahmed looked as shocked as I was. I had no idea the amount was so large. I knew Amy and Baba helped relatives sometimes, but I thought it was small amounts. Fatima, however, had a different reaction. I understand you're upset, but you should also understand Amy and Baba's position. When you started sending dollars, our whole extended family dynamic changed. Suddenly everyone looked at our parents as rich people. If they had refused help to everyone, people would have said, look at them. Their son sends dollars and they've become arrogant. They don't help their own relatives anymore. But Fatima, I said, it wasn't their money to give away. It was my money that I was sending for their care. Once you send money home, it becomes family money. Parents have the right to decide how to use it. This conversation revealed a fundamental difference in how my family and I viewed the situation. For me, the money I sent was meant for my parents' direct needs: food, medicine, rent, emergencies. For them, it had become a tool for maintaining family relationships and social standing. But there was another shock waiting for me. 2 weeks later, my cousin Rashid came to visit our house. He was the one who had taken 15 lakh rupees for his business venture. He came dressed well, driving a decent car, carrying expensive gifts for my parents. Tariq, bye, he said with a big smile. Welcome back. How was America? You look like a real American now. I wanted to punch him in the face. This man had taken $15,000 of my money and was acting like nothing had happened. Rashid, I said coldly, when are you planning to return my money? His smile faded a little. You know the business situation is tough right now. Import-export is very risky. I'm working hard to recover, but it takes time. How much time? Maybe 1 or 2 years more, inshallah. That's when my mother did something that shocked me to my core. Beta Tariq, she said, don't pressure Rashid too much. He tried his best. Business failure is not his fault. Allah gives and takes money. The important thing is that you're home safe, and we have our beautiful house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother was defending the person who had lost my money and asking me not to pressure him for repayment. But Rashid wasn't done yet. Actually, Tarabai, I have some good news. I'm starting a new business venture, clothing retail. It's a sure success because it's not dependent on imports. If you're interested in investing, I can guarantee 100% profit in 1 year. The audacity was breathtaking. This man had just admitted he lost my $15,000, and now he was asking for more money. I think you should leave now, I said quietly. After Rashid left, I had the most difficult conversation of my life with my parents. Ammi, Baba, I need to ask you something directly. Do you think I spent 12 years in America to fund other people's businesses and weddings and medical treatments? My father looked genuinely confused. Beta, we thought you went to America to help the family, to change our condition. Helping relatives is also helping family. But Baba, I specifically work for our house. I specifically save money for our security. I never agreed to become the ATM machine for every relative who had financial problems. My mother said something that revealed the core of our misunderstanding. Beta, when you used to call and say, I'm working for our family's future, we thought you meant the extended family. In Pakistan, family doesn't mean just parents and children. Family means cousins, uncles, aunts, everyone. That night, I went up to the roof of our house, the house I had bought with my sacrifice, and looked at the Karachi skyline. Millions of lights, millions of families, millions of people living their own dreams and struggles. I realized something heartbreaking. I had spent 12 years in America, feeling lonely for my family. Now I was back home, surrounded by my family, and I felt even more lonely. The family I had imagined during those cold nights in New York, the family that would appreciate my sacrifice, that would value the life I had given up for them, that family existed only in my dreams. The real family had different priorities, different values, different understanding of love and responsibility. I thought about all the Pakistani friends I had in America who used to tell me, Yar, enjoy your life a little. Send money home, but also live your own life. Get married, have children, build something for yourself too. I used to think they were selfish. Now I wondered if they were wiser than me. The phone call to America. A few days later, I called my friend Junaid in New York. He was the Pakistani guy who had been my business partner in the plumbing company. Tariq, how is home? How is the family reunion? Did you buy the house? Junaid, I bought the house, but there have been some complications. I told him everything. The lost money, the relatives, the different expectations, the feeling of being disconnected from my own family. Junaid listened quietly. Then he said something that changed my perspective. Tariq, you know what your problem is? You idealized your family for 12 years. You turned them into perfect people in your mind. But they're just regular human beings with regular human weaknesses. But Junaid, I sacrificed so much. I know. But here's the thing. They didn't ask you to sacrifice everything. You chose to do that because of your own dreams and expectations. You can't blame them for not living up to dreams they never knew you had. So what should I do now? You have 3 choices. 1, accept your family as they are and adjust your expectations. 2, try to educate them about your perspective and hope they understand. 3, build some distance and create your own life while maintaining basic relationships. That conversation made me realize I'd been thinking about this situation all wrong. I've been focusing on who was right or wrong instead of focusing on what to do next. Over the next month, I had multiple long conversations with each family member. Not angry confrontations, but honest discussions about expectations, values, and future plans. I learned some things about my parents that surprised me. My father told me that during my time in America, relatives had often made comments like, "Your son sends dollars and you still live in a rental house. He must not be sending much money, or he doesn't care about you." To defend my reputation and their own dignity, my parents had started living more openly about our financial improvement. And when relatives asked for help, refusing felt like admitting that their son didn't send enough money. My mother told me that she had genuinely believed that helping relatives would bring Allah's blessings on our family and ensure my safety and success in America. These conversations helped me understand their motivations, even though I still didn't agree with their decisions. By June 2013, I had made several important decisions. First, I accepted that the 26 lakh rupees given to relatives was gone. Some people might pay back small amounts over many years, but I couldn't build my life around waiting for money that might never come. Second, I decided to start a plumbing business in Karachi using my remaining $10,000 in skills learned in America. This would give me purpose and independence. Third, I decided to start the process of getting married. I was 31, and I couldn't let my disappointment about the money situation continue to delay other important life decisions. Fourth, I set clear boundaries with my parents about money. I would continue to contribute to household expenses, but any future gifts to relatives would need to be discussed with me first. Starting the plumbing business in Karachi was challenging, but rewarding. The skills I had learned in New York were valuable, but the business environment was completely different. Clients expected different service levels, payment was often delayed, and competition was intense. However, within 6 months, I had established a good reputation. Word spread that there was a plumber in Gulshan who had worked in America and provided American quality service. Business started growing. Around the same time, my family started seriously looking for marriage proposals. After meeting several families, I connected with Aisha, a 26-year-old teacher from a middle-class family. She was educated, sensible, and most importantly, she understood my situation. When I told her about my 12 years in America and the family money situation, she said something that impressed me. "Tariq, what matters is not what happened in the past, but how you handle challenges. The fact that you worked so hard for your family shows your character. The fact that you're starting fresh after disappointment shows your strength." We got engaged in November 2013 and married in February 2014. Just when life seemed to be settling into a new normal, I received a phone call that would reveal the deepest truth about my sacrifice. It was April 2014. I had been back in Pakistan for over a year. My business was doing well, my marriage was happy, and I was slowly adjusting to my new life. The call came from Imran, one of my old roommates from New York. "Tariq bhai, I have some news that might interest you. Do you remember our old landlord, Uncle Rashid?" "Yes, of course. The old Pakistani man who rented us rooms. He died last week. Heart attack. But here's the interesting part. When his son was cleaning out his papers, he found a notebook with records of all the money transfers his father had been doing for Pakistani workers." "What do you mean?" "Tariq bhai, remember how Uncle Rashid used to help us send money to Pakistan? He charged us a small fee and promised to send our money through his reliable contacts." "Yes, he said it was safer and faster than banks." "Well, it turns out he wasn't always sending the full amounts. Sometimes he would send 80% and keep 20% for himself. Sometimes he would delay the transfers for months and use our money for his own purposes before sending it." My blood went cold. "How much money are we talking about?" "For you, over 12 years, the son estimates his father kept about $15,000 of your money that should have gone to your family." $15,000. Almost exactly the amount my family had given away to relatives. "Imran, are you sure about this?" "The son has all the records. He's trying to contact everyone who might have been affected. He feels bad about what his father did, and he wants to make things right if possible. But obviously, the money is long gone." After that phone call, I sat in my house for hours, thinking about the strange circularity of what had happened. I had sent approximately $100,000 to Pakistan over 12 years. About $15,000 had been stolen by Uncle Rashid in New York. About $26,000 had been given away by my family to relatives in Pakistan. That meant only about $59,000 had actually been used for my family's direct needs. In other words, 41% of the money I earned through sacrifice and hard work had been lost to other people's greed, bad decisions, or unfortunate circumstances. But here's what hit me the hardest. Even if all that money had been used properly, Even if I had $126,000 instead of $85,000 when I returned to Pakistan, I would still have faced the same fundamental challenge. The challenge wasn't really about money. It was about the gap between expectations and reality, between dreams and life, between the family I had imagined and the family I actually had. That evening, I told Aisha everything. About Uncle Rashid's theft, about the stolen money, about the full picture of financial loss. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Honestly, I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just tired. Tired of thinking about money that's gone. Tired of trying to calculate who owes what to whom. Tired of feeling like a victim. So what do you want to do?" "I want to focus on building our future instead of mourning the past. I want to work hard for our children instead of regretting what I did for my parents. I want to love my family for who they are instead of resenting them for who they aren't." Aisha hugged me. "You know what I think? I think you got exactly what you wanted when you left for America." "What do you mean?" "You wanted to change your family's life. Look around. Your parents live in a beautiful house. Your brother has a good education and job. Your sister's family is stable. Yes, some money was lost along the way, but the main goal was achieved. But I could have achieved it with much less sacrifice. Maybe, or maybe this was the only way it could happen for your family. Maybe they needed to feel that someone loved them enough to sacrifice everything. Maybe they needed to experience abundance before they could learn to manage it wisely. Maybe you needed to learn that love sometimes means accepting people's flaws, not just their gratitude." 6 months later, in October 2014, I was cleaning out old boxes when I found a diary I had kept during my first year in America. Reading my 19-year-old self's thoughts was like talking to a stranger. "Dear Diary, today I sent $200 home. Only $298,800 more to go until I can buy the perfect house for my perfect family and return to live happily ever after." I laughed at my younger self's naive calculations and absolute certainty about how life would unfold. That night, I wrote a letter to that 19-year-old boy. "Dear young Tariq, you're about to spend 12 years working toward a dream that will come true in unexpected ways. You will buy the house, but it won't feel like victory. You will succeed, but success will taste different than you imagine. Here's what I wish I could tell you. Your parents are good people, but they're not perfect. They will make decisions with your money that will disappoint you. Forgive them in advance. Your sacrifice is admirable, but don't sacrifice so much that you forget to live your own life. Send money home, but also build something for yourself. The family you imagined during lonely nights in New York is partly real and partly your own projection. Love the real family, not the imagined one. Money will solve some problems and create others. Financial security is important, but it's not the same thing as happiness. The relatives who take your money will not be grateful in the way you expect. Help people because it's right, not because you expect specific returns. America will give you skills, money, and opportunities, but it will also take away years of your life that you can never get back. Make sure the trade is worth it. Most importantly, you are not responsible for everyone's happiness. You can help, you can sacrifice, you can work hard, but ultimately, everyone has to live their own life and make their own choices. The house you buy will be beautiful, and your parents will be grateful. But the real success will be learning to navigate the complex emotions of love, disappointment, growth, and acceptance that come with being human. You're going to be okay. Better than okay, actually. But the path will be more complicated than you think. Love, your older self. It's now 2026. And I've been back in Pakistan for 13 years. My business has grown significantly. Aisha and I have 2 children, a 9-year-old daughter named Zara and a 7-year-old son named Hassan. My parents are in their 70s now, still living in the house I bought them, still proud of their successful son. Of the 26 lakh rupees given to relatives, about 8 lakh has been paid back over the years. Taya John completed his payments. 2 other relatives paid back partial amounts. The rest, about 18 lakh rupees, is permanently gone. But here's what I've realized. I'm at peace with it. Not because I don't care about the money, but because I understand something now that I didn't understand at 31. Love is messy. Family is complicated. Sacrifice is never as clean or rewarding as it seems in our imaginations. My parents did what they thought was right with the resources I provided. Were their decisions perfect? No. Were their motivations pure? Yes. Did they love me and appreciate my sacrifice? Absolutely. Did they express that love in ways that sometimes frustrated me? Also, absolutely. If you're a young person reading this story, especially if you're an immigrant working abroad to support family back home, here's what I want you to know. Help your family, but set clear boundaries. Communicate your expectations explicitly. Don't assume everyone understands your goals and priorities. Send money home regularly, but also build something for yourself. Don't postpone your own life indefinitely for other people's immediate needs. Remember that the family members you support are human beings with their own flaws, pressures, and decisions to make. They may not handle money the way you would handle it. Don't sacrifice so much that you become resentful. Resentment poisons love, even when the love is genuine. Stay connected with your family emotionally, not just financially. Phone calls and visits are worth more than extra dollars in the long run. Most importantly, your worth as a son, daughter, or family member is not determined by how much money you send home. Your value comes from your character, your effort, and your love, not from your bank account. Last month, my daughter Zara asked me about the house we live in. Abba, why do you always call this Dada and Dotty's house? Don't we live here too? I realized she was right. I've been thinking of this house as something I bought for my parents, rather than something I bought for our family. The distinction matters. You're absolutely right, Beta. This is our house. All of ours. Dada and Dotty, and Mama and Abba, and you and Hassan. I worked hard in America, so our whole family could have a beautiful home. Were you sad in America, Abba? Sometimes I was lonely, Beta, but I wasn't sad, because I knew I was working for something important. I was working for this, for us sitting together in our own house, having this conversation. Do you wish you had stayed in America? I thought about that question. Do I wish I had stayed? Do I regret coming back? Do I regret the choices I made? No, Beta. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And for the first time since returning to Pakistan, I meant that completely. This story isn't really about money or immigration or family expectations. It's about the gap between our dreams and reality, and how we learn to bridge that gap with acceptance, growth, and love. I worked 12 years in America to buy a house in Pakistan, and my mother did have other plans for some of the money. But in the end, we got the house, we got the security, we got the family stability, and we got something even more valuable. We got the wisdom that comes from navigating complex human relationships with patience and understanding. The house is still here. My parents are still here. My marriage is strong. My children are healthy. My business is successful. Some of the money was lost along the way, but the love that motivated the sacrifice was never lost. And love, it turns out, is the only investment that always pays dividends. If you're someone who has sacrificed for family, or if you're someone whose family has sacrificed for you, remember this. The sacrifice itself has value, regardless of how perfectly the results match your expectations. I am Tariq. I worked 12 years in America to buy a house in Pakistan. My mother had other plans for some of the money, but she never had other plans for her love. And in the end, that love, complicated, imperfect, but genuine, was worth every day I spent away from home.